Sheriff Russell, thank you so much for agreeing to sit down with me.
Yes, ma'am.
You took office just recently. I've never followed local politics like I have in Hampton County. Like it's just a community that I've grown to love, and it's been fun watching, change.
Yes, ma'am.
You've been with the Sheriff's Department since 1997,
Yes, ma'am.
so you're
It's
not
been a
new to
while.
this.
No, it's just new to the administration now that I'm the sheriff. So,
Right, right.
yeah.
I think, as somebody who has been a deputy for, decades,
Yes, ma'am.
and then going into administration, it's given you probably a unique perspective into.
It has, because every division within the organization I've worked. I've worked patrol, criminal investigation, traffic, narcotics, and administration. So,
So you've seen it all.
yes, ma'am.
So as you've taken office and taken over the leadership of the Sheriff's Department, you have faced challenges.
A lot.
A lot of challenges. So I wanted to hopefully, we're trying to put together, kind of a mini documentary about, how the budget is affecting people from day to day. And I was hoping to get, just a little bit of information about what you guys are dealing with as a department.
Yes. Well, when I took office January the 3rd, when I came in, and I remember going to my first county council meeting, which I thought was very nice. But then I was faced with some issues there, and was put on restrictions. Couldn't hire anyone at the time because they're saying that the county just didn't have the money. And they asked me, as the new sheriff coming in, would I be able to work with them until we can, get through this issue and try to get some money generated in the county. And I did. And I was able to make it through my first 6 months without going over budget. I worked with the existing budget that I came in on January the 3rd, and we did not go in the red. We were able to maintain and make it through till July 1st. After the new budget got passed, what they just did a transfer of a budget. I didn't have any say-so going into my new budget as the new sheriff. They just say, look, we're going to transfer your budget. We're not going to cut you. We're going to transfer the funds over at your discretion. That's what they did. But then a month later, I was still met with restrictions. Couldn't hire, couldn't order uniforms. It took me almost 6 months just to get deputy badges and credentials,
Holy cow.
just for Hampton County.
And you've had issues with equipment, aging
Oh,
equipment.
listen, with the cars, I've gotten so frustrated with the deputies' cars. With my vehicle, prime example, 371,000 miles, but I'm the sheriff. I can get through that. But
Right.
the deputies are the ones that's responding to these calls by the citizens asleep at night, and the cars are constantly breaking down. You can put a new engine and a transmission in an old car, but what's going to happen? The car going to start falling apart.
Right.
We need to make sure we invest in new vehicles, because it's a liability for these deputies to be out here riding around in these old cars the way they are.
Right. And do you know what the average age of your vehicle is right now?
We got some as far as go back as 1999.
And, technology for police officers in particular is always evolving. Things are changing. And
Listen, Hampton County is so far behind, and one of the things coming in, and I campaign on this, I wanted to bring new technology with me with this administration, and I just wasn't able to purchase anything because of all these restrictions. And with law enforcement, you got to be above everything and anything, and without technology, it makes our jobs a lot harder. And when I came in, I asked for vehicles, got denied. I asked for cameras to be put up in Hampton County just to be able to help us maintain what we're doing. That got denied. And I didn't give up. I constantly went and just kept asking over and over. Listen, these are the needs for Hampton County. I don't make these needs. These are the things that we need in order for our office to function. Law enforcement should take precedence over anything that's going on in the county.
anything. And you guys also run court security.
Yes, we do, which is a mandated thing. You know, that was mandated way back before I even became the sheriff. But, you know, with that, we got cut in court security. So I'm going to have to just move a guy from court security to lay him off or put him back on patrol. And that's only going to leave 2 people at the courthouse. So now I'm going to be faced with challenges with our judges because, you know, our judges in the state now, they want a tight ship at that courthouse.
They need a tight
And they
ship.
need a tight ship with all that's going on.
Yeah.
But I just don't know if we're going to be able to accommodate them with that.
Yeah. Now, I had Representative Bill Hager had submitted a letter to the State House to try
Yes.
to get funding for vehicles, and had described some very concerning incidents that the vehicles that your deputies had run into in the vehicles.
Yes.
And one included a deputy involved in a shootout,
Yes.
and
that
his
happened
car
here.
would not start.
Yeah.
And-
And when I got the call that morning, it was really early in the morning, and I can remember like it was yesterday. And I responded. I think I got there within 20 minutes, and you know everything was still going on. And when I pulled up, and I saw the deputy car in the middle of the road with no lights, couldn't even, you know, nothing. I'm like, why is this car here? And he walked up to me. He was like, Sheriff, he said, listen. He said, I believe the engine blew in this car. He said, I tried to take cover. But he said, when I got in the car, I heard this loud noise, and he said, I had to run and get in my partner vehicle. And they left it in, you know, it was in the middle of the highway.
And
That is unacceptable.
thank goodness his partner vehicle was there.
Yes. And then now, you know, with that being said, then we got the citizens, well, you know what, Sheriff, you can't respond to my calls in a timely manner. But these are all factors that they have to take in consideration.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have a vehicle to get you from point A to point B, it is hard to get to these calls in a timely manner. And I always told them taking office, I said, listen, I want you to get there safely at as fast as you can. But with these old vehicles, please keep in mind, these vehicles are 7, 8 years old. Some of them are 10 years old. You got to be very careful.
And their police vehicles are used hard.
They are.
They go into places that average vehicles don't go into. They travel a lot of miles.
Yes.
So when they're 10 years old, they're 10 years old with many, many miles.
And many hours. Because, see, that's another factor people don't take in consideration. You got all this equipment running in that vehicle. That vehicle must stay on while they're on that call. And they
Right.
don't take that in consideration as well.
And I saw in your budget presentation, you were talking about body cameras
Yes.
and how to stay in compliance, you needed to upgrade those body cameras.
And we still do. And right now, we're out of compliance. It's a mandate. It was mandated that an officer must have a body cam on while on scene. And right now, we got about 30 body cams just sitting in the deputy room over there in a corner because they're obsolete. We can't even get parts for them. I tried when I got here. I contacted Motorola, had Motorola come and look at them. I'm like, Sheriff, these things are obsolete. You need new cameras, but
What happens when they're out of compliance? What does that mean for you as a department?
you're putting the officers at risk for lawsuit and liability.
Mm-hmm.
This prime example, you all see what's going on in the world today. If one of these deputies get out here and have to defend themselves, they really have nothing to go back and say, hey, you know, watch the body cam. This is what I did. This is why I did it.
And not to go back to the M word, Murdoch, but you know, as most of the country saw in his trial, those
Yes.
body cameras were key evidence
They were.
in the trial.
Yep, they were.
I mean, that was part of why that trial was successful for the
I
prosecution.
agree. And I commend Colleton County and their government for stepping up for Sheriff Hill over there and providing him what he needs.
So as you go forward, how do you plan to work to get what your officers need to keep the county safe, to keep themselves safe?
Well, you know, when I went before council on the third reading and they denied my request, I didn't ask for $1 over my budget. All I asked for them to do is just approve the existing budget that I had when I got here. And when they denied that and they started cutting me, I'm talking about almost $700,000, I got really frustrated because I already know the struggles that we're facing now. It is hard for us to move forward. And it's hard to keep deputies here based on the issues that the sheriff is facing with the county government. And it's not fair to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want people to sit here and watch this video and think that I'm soft because of how I'm feeling right now. But these are the challenges that the sheriff face every single day. And it is not right. It is not fair. I've lost deputies because I can't even buy them uniforms. Bulletproof vests. These are things that you got to have. I don't make the mandates. The state does. And these deputies deserve more than what we're getting. And they're looking at me as their leader, and I'm doing everything I can.
And they make those mandates for a reason.
They make them for a reason, and it is to protect the officer and protect the citizens.
Mm-hmm. You
got to have it. There's no way around that.
And I know Representative Hager had put together a proposal to try and get the state to fund, but Hampton County is a risk right now.
It is, and when I talked with him, that's the first thing he shared with me. But I wanted to make sure I just try every avenue that I possibly could to try to get some funding in this county. I believe we're going to get there one day. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. I mean, Hampton is a community full of wonderful and kind and caring people that want things to improve. But you also have challenges with crime and you know, keeping the community safe and successfully investigating and prosecuting and holding people accountable is a big part of that.
It is. And you know, when I came in as the newly elected sheriff in January the 3rd, one of the challenges we were facing was drive-by shootings. Mm-hmm. Those numbers were alarmingly high throughout Hampton County. But with the aggressive enforcement, and then we took it up a step above just the arrest. Not only would we put you in jail, we would go out and we would search your vehicle, we would search your house. Everywhere you laid your head at, if we can get a search warrant, that's what we did. And we started taking the bad guys' guns off the street. And we were able to bring those numbers down. And that was not easy. I had citizens, you know, came to me and were like, Sheriff, I'm sleeping on the floor in my house. That is unacceptable. Mm-hmm.
And you have a new app even. I have the Hampton County Sheriff's app on the phone, and I get alerts when they're, you know, when there are community alerts. They're helpful.
They are.
I mean, you've done quite a bit in the short time you're here with.
And could have done so much more.
Right.
If I just had the resources that I need. And listen, and I understand the taxpayers of Hampton County, they are actually going through it too with the taxes being so high in the county, but I didn't ask for $1 over the budget.
Right.
And one thing that I've done coming in the office, and I made this clear to every one of my staff here, that we will not go over budget under no circumstances. If we have to leave a patrol car out maybe and buy it the following year, then we would do that. But I would not go in the red for no one, because I know how it is when you got a budget.
And they're cutting, you know, they cut your budget. They cut the EMS budget. They're cutting budgets for essential services to keep the community safe. Yet I see the administrative budget has not been cut.
So a lot of department heads here in the county, the budget was not cut.
Right.
And when they cut my budget as much as they did, I took that personally. I can understand, you know, 100,000, maybe 200,000. But when you take 260-some thousand out of salaries, and you know that is guaranteed, and then you just start going down the list, they took my entire maintenance budget away from me. Didn't even know my maintenance budget was gone until we went to order some tires, and I told the captain, I said, look, we got deputies here that need tires on their vehicles. We got to get some tires and put on these vehicles. Well, when we started calling up to get a PO, that's when we were informed, hey, you don't have a maintenance budget. So then I was later informed that it was consolidated.
So they're not going to get you new cars, not in the budget, and they took away your maintenance budget.
My maintenance budget,
keep the cars that you have?
Yes.
Are you kidding?
No, ma'am, I'm not.
Okay.
And I don't think there's a sheriff in the state of South Carolina has to go through what I go through. Every sheriff's office, and I talked with those sheriffs when I went to the Myrtle Beach conference, they don't have these issues at their counties. Number one, you cannot control the sheriff. It does not matter whether you county official, county administrator, whatever. I'm an elected official. I work for the people because at the end of the day, I answer to the citizens of Hampton County. I took an oath and I take that very seriously. And I will give it all. I will give everything I got to make sure these citizens in Hampton County are safe in their homes while they're sleeping at night, even on Sunday mornings while they're going to church, Friday nights while they want to go to a bar and have a drink or whatever. They deserve that. But right now, with all these restrictions that they're putting in place, I'm just afraid we won't be able to keep up with it.
Are you ever afraid that it's going to take something really bad happening for them to realize that these cuts are not okay, that your budget
Yes.
is not sustainable?
Yes. And I don't know if, and you know, the word is always used as if, you know, I'm not a politician. Well, listen, I'm not a politician either, but unfortunately I had to become a politician to get where I am to run on the Democratic ticket. That's just part of the job. But I don't use that to my advantage every day. It does not matter the color of your skin. It does not matter what area you live in this county. If you call the sheriff's office, I want to be able to give you the best service that I can. And I want to make sure at the end of the day, when I leave that citizen house or a deputy leave there, they got the answers they need. We work for the people. And the people here in Hampton County deserve so much better because we have good citizens in this county. I seen how the citizens in this county came together when we had a tornado hit years ago. And let me tell you one thing, it was impressive. When I went out there and I saw females driving John Deere tractors down the road to make sure their neighbors are, you know, okay, I'm like, man, you know what? I wouldn't change it for nothing in this world. Hampton County, listen, I would die here. This is my home and this is where I'm going to be at. And I want the citizens to know that I'm going to do everything in my power to keep them safe. But I also have to let them know of the changes that's going to be coming because of the restrictions and my budget cut. We just can't maintain it like that.
I think the one thing that I've been most impressed about in Hampton is everybody is friendly, but they do rally together.
They do.
And they, right now, they are asking questions. They are wanting to know why their taxes are going up and yet their services are being cut. And, you know,
Yep.
I think it's been just the turnout for the special election last night.
Yes.
I mean, what a turnout for
Yep.
a election
Yep.
that,
We got great people here.
right.
You know, we do. And I know I might as well go ahead and cover this too. You know, when I first came in January the 30th, I believe, I wrote a letter on behalf of this office for an audit to be done. And I just had to do that. I mean, as a newly elected sheriff coming in, I mean, I would have been wrong not to have an audit done under my administration. I just wanted to do everything by the books. When I went to sheriff school, that was one of the requirements that they did, inventory and an audit. And you know, I did that, and I'm sure you all are well aware of that. So SLED is actually investigating that now. So once I give that to them, I don't go back to them for anything.
And you have to call in SLUD when you're asking
Yes.
for an investigation within your own department. You can't
Yes.
investigate that.
No, ma'am.
That
And I
is
wouldn't anyway. Yes.
a requirement.
Mm-hmm.
So, that, I mean, I have heard some people indicate that budget cuts may be as a result of perhaps that call.
Well, I hope not, because you know, as a sheriff of the county, you should do what's right.
Right.
Does not matter whether you have to put your family or your friend in jail. At the end of the day, you took an oath. And I took that oath. And when I came in, I was going to follow the guidelines. These are the recommendations that's recommended by the Sheriff Association. These are the things that I follow. And I did that.
And that SLUD investigation is still ongoing.
Yes,
Okay.
it is.
That's why we're not going to get into
Yes.
details of that because of that reason. But you know, that's not a difficult decision to make.
It's not. But listen, I did it without even blinking my eyes twice. I promise you.
I like that.
Yes.
I
So
like that. Well, is there anything else that you think would be important for people to know about what you're facing?
yeah, I just want the citizens of Hampton County and surrounding counties to know that, listen, I want them to rally behind the sheriff's office. Listen, we got men and women here that work hard day in, day out to make sure they're safe. And I just want them to know if we fail, we lack in response time, by all means, don't hold that against the sheriff. I'm only doing what I can possibly do with what I have. And when you put all these budget restrictions in place and these budget cuts, something is going lacking at the end of the day, regardless of whether it's equipment, salaries for these officers. You know, I hired a grant personnel, part-time grant personnel, and a cold case investigator, which we need because we had 9 unsolved homicides here. Now I got to cut the hours back because of the budget restrictions.
And the grant, that's a big part of the equipment. And
Yes,
I mean, it's a great way to fund things like that.
it is.
And you are having to pull back those positions that are crucial to improvement.
I did, and not to include the 8 positions that I put on hold when I first came here, because our deputies at the time was only making $36,000 a year, and I was able to bump their salaries up from 36 to 46, just to be able to maintain what we had.
And to retain,
Yes,
because
yes.
you will lose personnel.
And we have.
Mm-hmm.
When you got surrounding counties starting their deputies off, like Jasper County, I think the last time I heard, they were like 55, 56 maybe. These deputies not gonna stay here for that. And the ones that will stay, those are the ones that I convinced the council we need to take care of. When you got people that want to stay in your community and want to do good in your community, take care of the people who are here. They're not gonna leave because they're not chasing a dollar. They want to do what's right.
It's a very, very, very good point.
Yes.
Well, I really appreciate your willingness to sit down and talk to me, and
No problem at
give
all.
us a good view of what you're facing as
Yes,
a new
ma'am.
sheriff in your role. It's been I've heard very good things about you from people in the community.
Thank you. It's been very challenging.
Yeah.
Just the other day, Sunday, I was sitting there talking to my mom, and we were talking about issues at the sheriff's office. And I told her, I said, Mom, I said, you know what? I said, got to be something good coming out of this. Because it seemed like since I got here, I was just hit with everything at one time. Challenges after challenges. And some of these things, as the sheriff, I got no business trying to deal with.
Well, it's I have to say I spent the day interviewing Hampton citizens who are very concerned and advocating for the essential services that you provide, that
Yes.
EMS provides, that fire provides.
Yes.
They're determined, and
Well, that's good to know.
yeah, I mean it was a positive conversation.
Well, that's
I think.
good. Because, I hit the ground running. I make sure that number one, I take care of our youth here, our young kids, because we got to invest in them, because they are going to be our futures, and our senior citizens. Listen, I go to those senior citizen meetings, and I rally for them all day, every day, because I want them to feel welcome in this county, and I want them to feel safe in Hampton County. And those are my goals.
I think that is being achieved.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thank you. We're trying.
Well, thank you so much for your time today.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
really appreciate it, and I'm hope to talk to you again soon.
You will. And thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right.